So, my name is Katie, and I think that I've probably spoken to all of you. I'm the Director of International Programs here at Charles University. With me in Prague, I have my colleague Sasha.
Hello, I'm the Assistant Director with Katie.
And I think that you've probably been speaking to her most. And then over in New Paltz, we have Bianca.
Hi everyone, how are you?
Who will be our other half, helping you from the New York end, trying to get all of this sorted out. So this webinar should be about 1 hour long, and it will cover mostly the visa information, which is the most important thing that we'll talk about in the beginning, and then after that we'll talk about some more detailed program information. If you have any questions along the way, please type them into the chat box. You can either type them directly to Bianca or myself or to everyone, and then we'll answer them as we go. And Bianca, please stop me in case you hear anything that I've forgotten.
Okay, will do.
All right, perfect. So let's get started with the visa application. This is a list of all of the forms that you'll need, or documents that you'll need to put together for your visa application. This entire list can also be found in the ECES pre-departure guide, which was sent to you with your acceptance to the program from Sasha. So I encourage you to reference back also to that pre-departure guide to make sure that you have everything. There's a checklist there so you can go through and be organized and make sure that everything is complete. But we'll go through all of the documents step by step so that you can see what needs to be done. The first document is this visa application form. So I will pull up a sample that we have, and I'll go through each item on the sample. Maybe I'll make it a bit bigger so that you can see. And so I'll just explain what each question is asking for. Sometimes it's not entirely clear, and then I'll explain what you need to do with this after. So the first question is your last name. The second is you can leave blank unless you've ever had a different last name. If your last name has always been the same, then you can leave that blank. Number 3 is your first name, and this should be your full legal first name, exactly as it's written in your passport. And if your middle name is included also in your passport, you need to write it here because all of these documents need to match your passport exactly. Number 4 is your date of birth in day, month, year format. It's really important that you write it in day, month, year format, otherwise the date would be incorrect. Your place of birth for number 5, if you're from the US, is the city and the state. And the state should be spelled out. And then underneath, you'll put your country of birth, the code. If you're from the US, again, this should be USA. If you're from a different country, let me know and I'll find the country code for you. Number 6, your original nationality. Again, if you're from the US, this will be USA. If not, let me know and I'll get the country code, and current nationality the same. Number 8 and 9, you can just put an X in the appropriate box. Number 10, the first line is your father's last name, and the second line is his first name, the full legal first name. Number 11 is your mother's last name, and then the second line is her legal first name. Bianca, I'm just going to mute you, but maybe chat in the box if you need to say something, because we're getting some feedback, I think. Okay, so number 12, you'll put an X in the appropriate box. I think that will be ordinary passport for most of you. Number 13 is your passport number, and double check that that's correct because again, it needs to match your passport exactly. Number 14, issued by, is probably USA. And number 15 and 16, your date of issue and the expiration date of your passport. Again, in day, month, year format. All forms that you write in Europe should be listed in day, month, year format. Okay, and then the next page, number 17, you can leave blank if you've always lived in the country where you are from. If you've ever lived in a different country, let me know and I can let you know how to answer this question because it's a little bit different for everybody. Number 18, your current occupation is student for the purposes of this application, and that applies even if you have a part-time or a full-time job. Number 19 will be your home university. So you can either write here the address and name of SUNY New Paltz or your actual home university if you're from a different SUNY school. Number 20 and 21 is the details for Charles University, which you can copy directly from this form. This information will be the same for you as it is on the form. Number 22, you can leave blank unless your stay in the Czech Republic unless you've ever been to the Czech Republic for more than 3 months. Number 23, you can leave, you can copy exactly. This is the address at the dorm, unless you're living in private accommodation, which, Bianca, I don't think anyone is, are they? Or in any case?
I don't believe so.
Okay, perfect. So then everybody who's listening can copy this directly from the form. If you have questions about the housing, please contact Bianca or myself. Number 24, you can leave blank. Your postal address will be the same. The visa is requested for 111 days, and that is true no matter if you're going to arrive early or stay late to travel. For the purposes of the visa, it's only the study period. Number 26, you can leave blank unless you've ever had a visa for the Czech Republic. And number 27, you can leave blank unless you've ever had another visa for anywhere in the Schengen zone in Europe. Number 28, your purpose of stay is study. Number 29, your date of arrival and date of departure for number 30, you can copy exactly. And again, this applies even if you plan to come early or stay late. The visa will only be for the study period. Any other time would be a tourist period. Number 31 and 32 should probably be the same, Prague, Praha, and plane. If you already know you're planning to arrive to Vienna and then taking a train to Prague, you can write train. To be honest, it's not super important as long as you list something here, so you can copy this exactly. For number 33, you can copy this information exactly. This is the inviting legal person, Sylvia Bomova, who is our head of international relations. And you can copy that through all the way to the email address. All of this information will be the same for you as it is here. Number 34, the manner of funding your stay should be yourself. You can put an X in that box. Number 35, we recommend cash and credit cards as the means of support during your stay. And you'll also need to tick travel and or health insurance. You can leave the date blank for now. Later on, we'll go over the travel insurance information, and then you'll put the expiration date of that policy in this section here. And then for number 36 and 37, you can leave these blank unless you have spouse or children. For number 38, your home address will be your permanent address. So this is most likely what's on your driver's license, for example. And before you start writing it, be sure to count out the boxes because you need to spell out all words like street, Florida, Northwest, whatever. And also you should put USA at the end. For number 39, this is your phone number. And again, if it's in the US, it should be +1, which is the country code, area code, and then the phone number. And this should be a phone number where you're most easily reached, so probably your cell phone, because if there's an issue with your application, they'll call you here. Number 40 is your email address, and again, an email that you check often. And then at the bottom, you will put your place and date of signature, which will be wherever you are right now in the date. And then you'll sign in the box to the left. The bottom two boxes should be blank. Okay, so I don't see any questions coming through, so I'll continue with the next document, but stop me if you have any. So this document is one that you'll receive from us in Prague. This is your document confirming your purpose of stay, and it's a letter from the university confirming that you'll be studying with us during this period. So once you get this, underneath where the yellow stickers are, you should check that your name and date of birth are correct and exactly as they appear in your passport, but otherwise you don't need to do anything with this document. You just need to keep the original to submit with your visa application. This document is your proof of accommodation. This is also a document that we'll be mailing to you as you need the original. And when you receive this document, you'll need to insert some information, specifically your nationality, your address and passport number, and you'll need to sign it. When you receive this document, you'll receive 2 copies in Czech and 1 in English. The copies in Czech and English, the second copy in Czech and 1 copy in English, are yours for your records. The first original in Czech you will need to submit with your visa application after you've filled it out and you've signed it. The next is health insurance. So you'll be provided with health insurance from SUNY New Paltz, and I'm sure that Bianca will explain to you the details of that. But you'll also need to purchase a plan which is based in the Czech Republic to fulfill this visa requirement. And we recommend, in general, this company called Maxima Pojišťovna. It's the contract that you can see on the screen here. You are not obligated to use this contract. There's a list of some other ones in the pre-departure guide, but we have a good experience with this company in general, so we recommend it. And this is the one that I'll demonstrate now. So if you go to their website, which is here at the top, it's also listed in the pre-departure guide. You can change the language to English up here in the top right corner if it's not already. And then once you've done that, you'll click, they've changed their website overnight. How did that, okay, here, foreigner insurance. Why does it keep disappearing? Nope, that's not what I want. Okay. Yes, foreigners insurance. You'll click foreigners insurance if it's there, and then insure online. Here you'll have 2 choices. One is the emergency medical care insurance. The other is complex medical insurance. In general, we recommend students to get the complex one because it's more comprehensive, but because you do also have a policy from SUNY, you might opt to get the emergency medical care one, which is a bit less expensive. So once you've decided, you can click on your option. If you click on the complex, make sure that you click the checkbox to confirm that you're a student under 30. You'll have a lower price, and then you'll click continue. Once you get to the next page, you'll have to select a length of the policy. So we recommend generally 4 months because this will cover the entire length of your study period. If you know you're going to be in Europe in the summer longer, then maybe you can pick a longer period, but it only has to be 4 months. Your policy start date should be at least the arrival day. If you want to make it a bit earlier, you can, but you just need to make sure that the expiration date is after the departure date, after the program end date. And then you'll click continue. Here you'll put in your surname and your first name. You'll put in all of your details. Oh, not reading. And here you can put in your American phone number, that's fine. You'll put in your email address. And then that's it, you'll click continue. And once you've clicked continue, you'll get more boxes which are asking for your nationality and your passport number. So after you've gone through that process, check here to make sure that all of your details are correct. It's really important that all of these details match your passport exactly. And then you'll confirm and click pay the premium. Before you go to pay the premium, it's really important that you call your bank or credit card company because this is a transaction in the Czech Republic. So if you just go and make the transaction, it's most likely that your bank or card company will block the transaction as potentially fraudulent, and they'll either freeze your card or block the transaction. None of those things are a good thing. So it's really important that you call them to let them know, hey, I'm going to be making a purchase of about $150 in the Czech Republic. It's a legit purchase. Yeah, so that's all you need to do. Okay, so once you've made your payment, you will get a contract that looks like this. You'll be able to download it from the website, and you'll also get an email with the contract. What you need to do immediately is to save the contract as a PDF on your computer so that you have it, and then you should forward that email to either me or Sasha, because we will save your contract on file as well in case of an emergency in Prague. That way, in case you need to go to a hospital, for example, we already have it, and you don't need to worry about not having it in time, or having to get it while you're sick. Okay, you'll also need to print a copy because you'll submit this contract with your visa application. The next document is this, your criminal history background affidavit. This document you can find, I will send it to you in an email after this, but you can also find it on all of the embassy websites. This is in lieu of an actual criminal history background check because it's very complicated to get one from the FBI in the US. And so American citizens can fill this out instead. You'll fill out the top of this form exactly as you filled out your application form. Your given name is your first name and middle name if it appears in your passport. Your date of birth should be in day, month, year format. Your telephone number should have +1 in front of it, for example. And then once you've filled out the top, don't sign the form because this form needs to be notarized. So you should put it to the side, and then you'll sign it when you're in front of the notary. If you sign it before you go to the notary, you'll have to fill out a new one because they can't notarize something that's signed before you get it notarized. And then the last two documents are the ones that usually screw up students the most. The first is this, a copy of the front and back of a debit card, which should be in your name. And so it's a photocopy of this debit card, which needs to be notarized. The issue is that most American notaries don't notarize photocopies because it's a bit of a weird thing in the US. In the Czech Republic, it's quite normal. So in case you go to a notary and they refuse to notarize your photocopy, what you can do is write something like on the copy, I certify that this is an original copy of my debit card, and then you can sign that statement and they will notarize your signature on that statement. So that's sort of a fallback in case they won't just notarize the photocopy itself. So this document and the criminal history background affidavit are the two documents that need to be notarized, and that's it. And then the last document is this bank account statement. So this should be a checking account, which is in your name, and it should have a balance of at least $3,000. It should be attached to the debit card that you're photocopying. So most students don't have a bank account balance with $3,000, and that's reasonable. In case this is your situation and you don't have such a bank account, what we recommend, if you're able, is to ask a family member or a parent, for example, to transfer in the minimum amount of money that you need to make your balance at least $3,000. And then you can print a statement from the online banking that shows that balance with that money in your account. What happens to that money after you print your online balance is completely up to you. All you need to do is print an online statement which shows your name as it appears in your passport, the balance, and that it's a checking account because it cannot be a savings account. It does not have to be an official statement, so you don't need to wait until the end of the month to get the statement. And the balance does not need to be at least $3,000 for the duration of your semester, only when you print the statement. Okay, does anybody have any questions? If you do, please pop them into the chat box. What is the difference between the maximum emergency plan and the complex plan? So the emergency plan just covers less. The complex plan gives you an option to use it also within the Schengen zone, which is most of Europe, most of the EU. But in general, for what you need it for, they're not very different. So if you need to decide between price, that's not a problem. You can choose the less expensive option. And like I mentioned, you also have health insurance provided by SUNY, and that will also cover you, right, Bianca, in the rest of Europe?
Yes, it will cover you everywhere else. So the emergency plan is just fine for you.
Okay, perfect. So I don't see any other questions coming through. So the last items that you need, once you have all of this together, you should go to a CVS or a Walgreens, for example. You need to get 2 passport photos taken. These are the kinds of photos that you would submit if you were applying for an actual passport. And then once you have all of your documents, you need to make a photocopy of everything, because when you submit your documents, you should submit 2 of everything, 1 original and 1 photocopy. You also need to submit your original passport and 2 copies of the passport data page. That's important. Your actual passport will go to the embassy. And we also recommend that you keep a scanned copy of all of the documents for your own records. So if the embassy that you apply at will be based on where you live. If you go to our pre-departure guide on page 6, you'll see a list of the states and their corresponding consulates or embassies. So check where you need to apply. I would imagine for most of you that your application would be submitted in New York if you're already New York State residents. And that embassy, or I think it's a consulate, is on East 73rd Street in New York City. And so you can either go in person to submit your application, which we recommend if you live close enough to do that. If you don't live close enough to New York City to submit your application in person, don't worry. You can also submit it by mail. So if you do submit your application by mail, you need to submit a USPS, which is a postal service, regular express mail envelope, with tracking, with insurance, every possible safeguard, because your passport will be inside of it, overnight delivery, all of that. And then if you are not able to go to New York to pick up your application after your visa has been processed, so you'll need to go pick up your passport. If you can't pick that up, you can include a second prepaid self-addressed envelope, USPS express mail, overnight shipping with tracking, insurance, everything, and they will send back your passport to you, to that address. The other thing to keep in mind is that there is officially a 60-day processing time for visa applications. However, in our experience, it's taking up to 90 days in some cases. So it's really important that you start on this process as soon as possible and then submit your application as soon as possible. You should not wait until you're home for Thanksgiving, for example. That is way too late. Ideally, you should have everything submitted by the beginning of November. We will be sending out all of the visa documents to Bianca at New Paltz by the end of this week, most likely tomorrow. And so she'll have them early next week to distribute to you. And then you'll have all of the documents. So if you can this weekend, prepare all of the other documents, then by the time you get your check documents from Bianca, you'll be ready to submit your application. Okay, so does anybody have any questions? Or Bianca, did I forget anything? Anything you want to add?
No, I think you hit everything.
Perfect. Okay. So the last thing that I'll mention too is the one thing I forgot, is that if you want to scan me a copy of your application before you submit it, I'm happy to look over the application. I've seen hundreds of them, so unfortunately I don't make the final decision on approvals, but usually I can spot errors if there are any. So feel free to scan me all of the documents. I can take a look and see if I notice any major errors. Okay. So again, this is the list of documents that you need, also available in your pre-departure guide. So please start working on this as soon as possible. And we'll move on to the program information. So on the screen here, you can see the spring 2019 program dates. The official arrival day is January 28th. The departure day is May 18th. I'll explain the orientation and arrival in more detail in a bit. But the important thing to notice on here is that you do have some Friday classes this semester. Most of the time we teach only Monday through Thursday, but for the first 3 weeks, you do have classes on Fridays, and these classes are mandatory. You must attend them. So please be sure to not schedule any independent travel on those Fridays. We strongly encourage you to use those first 3 weekends to explore Prague and to explore the Czech Republic. We'll provide you with loads of resources about day trips in the Czech Republic, weekend trips even, where you can spend an overnight somewhere. There's loads to see in the area. And this will give you a good chance to settle into your new home. And then we have 2 Friday makeup days later in the semester, because we have actually 3 national holidays over the course of the semester. And so these Fridays are the 26th and May 10th, April 26th and May 10th. So you should also not plan any independent travel on those days. So most importantly, course registration. We start course registration on December 3rd. It will happen at 10 a.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. in Prague. And course registration happens on a first come, first served basis. So all registration takes place on our website, which we have here. And so I'll walk you through the registration process on our website in case you haven't already seen it. So if you haven't already created an account, you'll click login at the top right corner. You'll register as a new user here. You'll enter your username or your first and last name and your date of birth and create a username and password. I already have a sample username and password here, so I will go ahead and enter that. Hopefully I remember. Yes. Okay, good. So once you've logged in, you'll see your profile. So instead of ECES Spring, you will see your name here. Eventually, you'll also see your weekly schedule here, also your list of courses, any assignments that you might have or have submitted. So this will be your portal for the whole semester at Charles University. Importantly, on the left side is most of the information that you need. So first, semester information contains a lot of the details that we just went over, including the pre-departure guide and sample visa application, and I'll talk more about this page later. For now, if you click on courses, you will already see all of the spring 2019 courses listed. So you can see already all of the courses and their details. You'll notice right now that it says that there are 0 places available in the courses. That's not true. Nobody's registered yet. It only means that we haven't uploaded the number of places in the courses. So don't panic. Those places will be available before December, not to worry. So when you're looking at our course list, if you click on a course title, you will see all of the details for that course. So you will be taking these courses for 3 US credits each. You'll see ECTS here. That's the European Credit Transfer System, which is for the European exchange students. You don't need to worry about this. And you can also see some information about your professor here, but you'll then see the section. So if you click on the section title, oh, this one doesn't have the syllabus up yet. I picked a bad example. Let me pick one that I know has the syllabus. So you can also get to the section by clicking S1 or S2 in these cases here. So if you click S1 on 20th century Prague literature, I know we have a syllabus. So you'll see the syllabus here. So almost all of the syllabi are updated. There's just a couple of professors, which apparently I picked one of them, who hasn't sent us the spring syllabus yet, so that will be available soon. But for now, you can check almost all of them, and all of our syllabi are uniform, so you'll have all of the information that you need. You'll see the assignment and grading policy, the attendance policy, which is uniform for all of the courses, the student responsibility and code of conduct, for example, and the weekly schedule. When you are picking your courses, please do not just read the course title and the course description and sign up for courses based only on this. Please read the full syllabus, see which assignments there are, which readings there are. Don't pick a course based only on the schedule or based only on the fact that it only has 1 or 2 assignments. You'll find that most of our courses only have a couple of assignments, but all of them have a lot of reading. And this is a really good example, especially because it's a literature course. This course has a lot of reading, and you're expected to do that reading. So just because you don't have to turn in a paper every week or have a quiz every week, for example, doesn't mean that you won't be expected to do anything. And students always get themselves in trouble when they register for courses based on non-academic criteria, and then they end up disappointed that it's not exactly what they thought it was going to be. So it's really important that you do the research, check out the full course details before you register. Okay, that's my spiel. So when you register for courses, again, back on the courses page, you'll see here there's these lines under the column register. On December 23rd at 10 a.m., these lines will turn into a button that says register. I'll send out a detailed registration guide, which will walk you through the process, but it's really as simple as that. You just log on here, click register, it'll sign you into the course. If the course is already full when you go to register for the course, then you'll be automatically placed on a wait list, and then if space becomes available, you'll be added to the course. And like I said, spaces are given on a first come, first served basis. So it's important that you also get a couple of backup courses approved to take at your home university, because you may need to sign up for a plan B in case space doesn't open up by the end of the add drop period, which is 2 weeks after classes begin. At this time, from December 3rd, you will be able to register for up to 4 elective courses. In the end, you will be able to register for up to 6. Most of our students take 3 or 4 electives over the course of the semester. And so once you arrive to Prague, if you want to add an additional 1 or 2 electives, you can. But for now, the maximum is 4. And in addition to that, you'll be signed up automatically for the intensive Czech language course, which is 3 credits. This course takes place during the 3 weeks before the regular semester starts. So you'll arrive to Prague, you'll have 1 week of orientation, and then 2 weeks of Czech. Your course will meet either in the morning or in the afternoon, and it's a full 3 credits. This language course is a language course. It's really important for you to remember that it is a legitimate course. You will have to work hard to earn a grade for it, and you'll be expected to learn some of the Czech language. I can appreciate it's not an easy language. However, it is really important. You'll find that a lot of doors open up to you in Prague if you're able to at least introduce yourself in Czech and ask if people speak English in Czech. Okay, that's the information on course registration. I don't see any questions, so I will move on. So like I mentioned, arrival day is January 28th. This is the day that you're expected to be in Prague by. So you should not plan to come after January 28th. We have one more visa question. So how many days does it take for one's visa to be mailed back or be ready to pick up? So like I mentioned, the processing time is between 60 and 90 days. So you should count on at least 60 days, but possibly even a bit more for your passport to be ready. And once it's ready, they'll mail it back to you, and you should provide an overnight envelope, in which case it'll be back to you right away. Or if you go pick it up, you can pick it up sort of at your convenience before you leave for Prague at the embassy. Okay, so in terms of the arrival day is January 28th. If you want to arrive sooner, you are responsible for getting yourself from the airport to your accommodation. So we only provide free transportation on the actual arrival day. And in order to take advantage of this, and I'll go back to our website, under semester information, you will see a form here, which is this form, to submit your arrival details. So if you click on this, you'll be brought to an office form where you can put in your details. You must submit this by January 2nd, and you should submit it whether or not you actually plan to use the airport transfer service. We need to know when you'll be getting to Prague. If you're planning to arrive to Prague early and you want to stay in the dorm, you need to let Sasha know that as soon as possible, because we need to book those extra nights for you, and those have a fee attached to them. So she can explain that to you when you email her to book. Otherwise, you can stay in private accommodation until the arrival day if you'd like. That's up to you. Okay, so we have one question about the courses. If you want to take 12 credits throughout the semester, can you take 9 and then the 3-credit language course? Yes, so as long as your university is transferring back the language course, which maybe Bianca can comment on this, that would equal 12 credits. So by the time classes already starts, you've already completed 3 credits.
Just give me a second. Yeah, that's perfectly fine.
Not a problem. So talking about the dorm, once you get to the dorm on arrival day, we'll have staff in the lobby waiting for you with your housing package. We'll help you to check in and give you all of your important forms and your transportation pass. This is an important point too. You need to send us a passport-sized photo in order for us to get your transportation pass for you. So that means that when you get your passport photo taken for the visa application, you should just scan over or take a photo of, send that photo to Sasha, so that way we can provide your transportation for you on arrival day. Sheets and towels are provided for you at the dormitory. Keep in mind that they may be a little bit different than what you're used to at home. These are just some cultural differences. For example, in this picture, you can see that there are flat sheets on the bed. We don't really have fitted sheets very often in traditional Czech homes here, so that's what there is at the dorm. If you decide that you want something different than what's provided, we can recommend stores that are in the city that you can go to and pick those things up relatively inexpensively. So we really encourage you not to bring those. And we also encourage you not to overpack toiletries. Your suitcases for sure will already be really heavy, and you're going to want space to bring things back for the end of the semester. And toiletries are just an unnecessary item. You'll have your transportation pass on arrival day, so we can point you in the direction of a store where you can buy anything that you need. All of the regular products that you need will be available here. The only thing that I might recommend that you consider bringing are things like Dayquil, NyQuil, Tylenol if you like it, those over-the-counter medicines in low quantity, because those are not available here. We do not have NyQuil. That's unfortunate. Okay, and then the last thing that I need to remind you in this page is to submit your housing form. So again, under semester information, you'll see your housing preference form here. You can see that it was due on October 15th, but you need to submit it no later now than November 1st, excuse me. November 1st is the deadline. If you don't submit it by November 1st, then we can't take your preferences into consideration. So it's important that you do that. Okay, so in terms of the dorm location, this is a map of Greater Prague, so all the way through the airport, through the most outer districts of Prague. So you can see the 3 stars in the middle of the map, and those are the 3 most important locations for you in terms of living and studying. And so you can see that all of them are located right in the city center. These roads in yellow are really the ring that are around the city center, so you're well within that on all fronts. So I have some hidden animations here. So this is a zoomed in map of the city center, and you can see this star here with the blue Parlejova. This is where the dorm is. It's in a residential district called Prague 6, and it's just behind Prague Castle, which is right here. So this will be where you'll be living. These 2 other stars up here are the tram stops, which are closest to the dorm. They're about 5 minutes walk from the dorm. And the tram from here, from Pohojolec down to Malostranska, which is on the other side of the river from our main university building, is 10 minutes. So we tell students to budget around 20 or 30 minutes to get from the dorm to class with walking time. And to be honest, this is the most beautiful part of the city, right past Prague Castle and Lesser Town, which is the most historic part of the city. So it's a beautiful ride down the hill. So this here is Náměstí Jana Palacha. This is our main university building. And then this star right here is Jindřiška, and this is our secondary university building. So you'll have classes in one of 2 buildings, or probably both. And the distance between those 2 buildings is about 10 minutes. So you can register for classes that are back to back in those buildings because there's a 10-minute break in between all classes. You'll just have to hurry a little bit to get between the classes. But unfortunately, that's sort of the best situation that we have with our scheduling. As you can see, the dorm is not in Old Town. Old Town is this area in between our main building and Jindřiška here. And this is a good thing. Old Town is very touristy. It can actually be a little bit dangerous in terms of pickpocketing and that sort of thing, and it's not residential at all. Not many Czech people live in Prague 1, very few actually, and so it's good that you have a chance to live a bit outside of Prague 1, but still in a very residential and historic neighborhood, but it's important for you to know where you're living, and where you're living is not Old Town. It is in Prague 6, just behind Prague Castle. Okay. Ooh. I'm on the wrong slide. There you go. So orientation. Again, arrival day is the 28th. In the evening, we always have a meet and greet, which is optional. You can come to a local pub with us. You can buy yourself some traditional Czech food if you'd like. It's a good chance to meet the other students. And then on Tuesday, you'll have your housing orientation. You'll be able to get your ID card, and then you'll have your welcome meeting where we'll go over more important information about the program. On Wednesday, you'll have your city orientation. Thursday and Friday that week are your mandatory day trips, which are required. And these will bring you to some really interesting and really cool places outside of Prague. So they're a really fun way to end the first week. And then the next 2 weeks, like I mentioned, you have that intensive Czech language course, and that's 3 credits. And again, it's Monday through Friday. That's important. Okay, so some more fun things. Throughout the semester, we have optional trips and activities scheduled. and these are really throughout the semester. These are just a very short list of the ones that we'll be offering, but there are more. So if you go to this page of our website, which is one of the public pages, you'll see the trips and activities that we typically offer. For example, we've started a lecture series this year, and we'll have 3 lectures given during the semester for you. There's also loads of other trips and activities that we have, some of the optional ones and some of the mandatory ones, so you can go through and see what is available. If you want to check out, we're still updating the list, but if you go to activities, once you've been logged in, you'll see the list of activities offered in the spring semester. Right now, you can only see 3 of the weekend trips, but there will also be a 4th to Budapest. And then there's going to be lots of day trips and other activities that you can sign up for. Some will be free and some will be relatively low cost. Of course, the weekend trips are the most expensive, but we try to keep everything as low cost as possible. And we'll do registration for those in advance. So that way you can register in advance and know when you're already busy. So you can plan some other activities on your own if you'd like to. And we have some information about preparing for your semester in Prague. So the first is a request from our professors, which is to learn some basic Czech history and the current political situation. In order to do that, we recommend some news websites, which are listed here. Expats and Prague Morning, and the last one, RFERL, are English websites, English resources. ECES is Czech, but it works with Google Translate, so I encourage you to look at it for a local Prague resource. It's a really good idea to get situated with this information before you come to Prague, because then it will give you the context to really understand all of your classes, but also understand things that are happening on the streets in Prague and what you're hearing people saying. The other thing is that we recommend you start learning Czech. Luckily, you have some free resources available for you. Specifically, Duolingo now has Czech on their app and also on the desktop, and this is free. So I recommend that you download it and start practicing. Nobody expects you to be fluent even by the end of the semester, but it will be insanely helpful for you to already have some Czech under your belt by the time you get here, if only the pronunciation and phonetics. That way, when somebody tells you, hey, meet me at the Jiří metro station, you'll understand what that possibly looks like on the map. And I promise it looks nothing like you think it does when I've just said it. The other thing that we're working on, and we already have one pilot video out, is a video pre-departure YouTube series. And so on our YouTube channel, and I'll post it also in our Facebook group, you'll have some pre-departure videos, and the first that's available now is a Czech language video. So I recommend that you check that out. And the last thing that we recommend that you do is looking into the cultural differences, and this is a great thing to ask alumni of the program. So people who have studied here before, we have an ECES alumni Facebook group, which is a great resource for you to join, where alumni can share their experiences. You can post, for example, to ask questions about classes or professors, but also the culture, where to go, what to see, what not to do, what to do, all of these things. So we recommend that you do that. And of course, we'll go over this information again as well once you get to Prague. Bianca, did you want to add anything to this?
No. But if the students have any questions, they can get in touch with me, and I'd be happy to answer them. But this is very, comprehensive.
Perfect. Yeah, so actually, you guys have a great resource in particular because Bianca studied in Prague once, so she can maybe speak to some of your specific questions, which is great. And the very last thing that I have are just some practical considerations. So I mentioned before that you should call your credit card company and your bank to let them know that you'll be traveling. This is really important, and I can't stress it enough. The worst possible thing is to get to Prague and try and make a purchase and then have your card frozen, and then you have to go through the whole process of ordering a new card or calling your bank from here, whatever it is. So please call them in advance to let them know you'll be living in the Czech Republic and also maybe traveling in Europe. So if you plan to travel anywhere outside of Czech Republic, tell them where. Even if you don't know now, tell them every country you might possibly travel to, because then they can mark that you'll be in those places for those 4 months and they won't flag your card. The other thing that you should do is remember to buy some European style travel adapters for your electronics. These are kind of hard to find in Prague for US to Europe adapters, so we really recommend that you buy them in advance, maybe on Amazon, for example, or another major retailer. They're quite small, so we recommend that you buy a few of them because they're pretty easy to lose and they're also pretty inexpensive. And it's important to remember that if you're planning to go to the UK, you should also plan to get your US to UK adapters because these are different and definitely will be impossible to find here. US to Europe, you'll probably be able to find. US to UK will be a lot more challenging. And you should also be really careful with heat-producing appliances, things like hair dryers and straighteners, curling irons, because even with a voltage converter, these can overheat very easily in Europe. When I was studying abroad, a long time ago, I plugged in a hair straightener to a voltage converter in London and proceeded to burn my hair because it's still overheated and I was doing everything right. So it can still happen. We really recommend that you avoid that kind of fire hazard. You can easily buy the proper voltage appliance here and we can show you exactly where to go once you arrive. And the last thing is that we recommend that you get an ISIC card before you come. This is an international student identity card, and Charles University officially recommends that students get them. It's a discount card that you buy and then you can use for discounts across Europe. You'll get a Charles University ID card when you get here, but not all discounts are available just for a regular ID card. For some of them, you'll need an ISIC card, and it can take about 2 or 3 weeks to arrive to you. So I recommend that if you're interested, you go to their website, look at what discounts they have available, and if you decide that you want the card, you should just buy it now so that way you have it and you don't need to worry about it. Okay, so that is the true end of everything that I have to say. Does anybody have any more questions that didn't come up already? If not, remember the visa application right now is your most important thing. So if you haven't, or you should start on it right away, get it done this weekend, get the documents done this weekend that you need to get, and that way next week you can send out your application and you don't need to worry about it anymore. If you're traveling during internationally before you leave for Prague, please email us to let us know because there may be some special things you'll need to do in terms of your visa application and requesting your passport be returned to you because in general you don't have your passport during the processing time. So it's important to keep that in mind if you have, a trip over Thanksgiving break or whatever it is. And again, I'll put out the offer that if you want to send me your application before you submit it, I'm happy to look it over. Not a problem. Okay. I haven't seen any questions come through. So if that's it, Bianca, do you have anything else?
No, I'm all good.
Perfect. So thank you guys for coming. And like I said, I'll be posting this on YouTube so that you have the recording to refer back to. And otherwise, we will see you in Prague.